nothing but the dog in me.
Why must I chase the cat?
Caught dancing.
You know, I mean, it's a good song.
It's a great song.
It was always a good song.
It's a great song.
And I say it every week. People probably get me so sick of hearing me say it. But you know what? Hey, it's my show.
That's it.
Anyway, good evening and welcome to Posse Presents. We are here tonight with Patty Reilly.
Hi.
Patty, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Theo, thanks so much for asking me to come on.
You
I
didn't
really
expect
appreciate
it.
this. No, I didn't expect it. No, I did not. No. But this is a good thing. It's a good thing. It's nice to finally meet you.
It's great to meet you too. We've been Facebook friends and messaged.
Yes,
and,
we have.
You know,
Yes.
that's kind of like how Facebook does. You know, you kind of like get to know people online, and if you're fortunate, you get to do the face-to-face.
I think it's a real appreciation when you get on Facebook because you can connect with old friends and new friends, and you never know when they're going to come up and help you. You know, like we found, we have that common interest in rescuing animals.
Yep. And
so I think it's good. It's all good.
It brings like kind people together, and actually sometimes it brings people together who really would never have anything in common to meet in person. And
well, we come from different sides of the state too, so we never would have met up.
No.
You know, I mean, there's
unless it was at a function.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, sometimes functions are so regional.
Yeah.
That it would still be hard. But
true.
And the important thing is here we are now.
Yes, this is awesome.
And we're going to talk about a few things tonight.
Okay.
Patty was a bit of an unwilling volunteer at first.
I was a very unwilling volunteer, yes.
But that's all good, see, because like I always say, everybody should get involved, do what they can within their means, you know, find their niche, and you did kind of accidentally. So tell us how you started volunteering.
I did. You know, Theo, I worked in New Britain, and the people that I worked with are very much into animals as well, and they kept saying, we have a fundraiser we'd like you to go to, you know, and I kept going, no, I don't want to go to a fundraiser, no, I don't, no. And they're like, come on, it's right in your area, and, you know, it's actually like 6 miles from your house, and I'm like, no. Well, they finally embarrassed me into going, and I went, and only one of my friends showed up, and I was
left you on the hook.
They left me there, and I walked in, and the place was called Ray of Light in East Haddam. It's a horse and donkey rescue, and the horses were so well taken care of. The place was spotless. I just couldn't believe it. It was like a little piece of heaven to me. And the next day I went and I asked if I could volunteer, and they were like, definitely.
Yeah, see, volunteers are always more than welcome.
Yes.
And did you have experience with horses prior? Or?
No, I had no experience with horses whatsoever. As any 12-year-old little girl wanted their horse, and, you know, but my parents couldn't afford it, and so I never was able to get one, and my life never went that way. So I went, and they said, sure. This is what we call a mucking rake, and I learned very quickly.
Go shovel poop.
I shoveled a lot of poop, and proud to say I could do up to 20 stalls.
Wow!
So it's busy. They're a very big place, and from that point, I would take little breaks, you know, and I would go out to the side, and they have a paddock with some young horses and stuff, and this one horse was there, and he wouldn't let any other horse near me. And he would bite him, and he would kick him, and I'm going, what a mean horse, you know? and then all of a sudden, he would come near me, and he would bite me too, and I'm going, you're a real mean horse. Well, it ends up, as I was going there after months and months, he would start recognizing my car, and he would come running down, and they were a little worried that he might jump the fence to try to get to me. He was very attached to me, and so they moved him in the back, and he went from big man on campus to fifth on the rung, and he got bit, and he got kicked, and he had to learn the hierarchy, and I cried like a baby at that mean horse.
Aww.
And I said to him, I give up, you're mine. So I foster, his name is Ocho, and he's a PMU full, and I now foster him. And so he was my first introduction to fostering. My first introduction to volunteering was Ray of Light Farm. And
now you're hooked.
I'm hooked on it, and I encourage it, and I encourage parents to do it with their young kids because
It's very important.
the amount of satisfaction I got was incredible. And at 50 years old, I'm like going, how good would I have been at it if I started at 25, And how much of a difference could I have made? And
But you're making a difference now.
I sure am, yeah. And because it's led me into other things. And I don't know if you want to talk about the dogs. I mean, from that point, I ended up going into, the Facebook. You see all these placards about, these urgent dogs and this and that. And I got to the point, I just started crying with all these things. And I said, well, maybe I have a dog, Tegan. And I said, maybe I could, open up my house to another dog. And
You could have cried about it, or you could have done something about it.
exactly. And I chose to start looking. What I learned from all the rescue stuff I was seeing is that older dogs have the least chance of being adopted and are probably the ones that are most put to sleep.
Absolutely.
And my heart just cried. And so I knew I wanted an older dog. And so I went out looking. And I looked at a number of different dogs. I went to a lot of really good organizations, and I went to see a lot of good dogs. But they weren't a perfect fit for my house situation. I have Tegan, who's an alpha female. She likes to be the boss. There had to be some submissive dog that was going to match, and it was very difficult to find that match. And for some reason, I can't tell you why, I was brought to the Meriden Humane Society, and I asked them if they had any older dogs, and they said no, but we have big dogs in the back. You can go look at them. And I said, okay, I'll go take a look. And I walked out, and it's a fenced area, and it has the runs, and the dogs were in the runs, and these dogs were going nuts. And this one dog was just almost fence fighting with me as I'm walking by, and I know enough not to look at him. I watched Caesar enough.
Yeah.
Watched Caesar. And,
Gotta love him.
Oh, he's incredible. He really is incredible. So I didn't look at the dogs, and then I turned back, and I faced this one dog, and he, and he's barking at me, and I still wouldn't look at him, and I just said, you're not really as rough as you're appearing to be, are you? And he stopped. He just stopped. And he went and he got his tennis ball, and he came back to the fence.
Yeah. You gotta face down a bully.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so I went in and I said, I'd like to see that brown dog out there. And they're like, Dice? And I said, yeah, I guess that's his name. I don't know. I said, no, I don't think you really want to see Dice. He's a little unruly. He's just a puppy, and he's a big dog. He's a big, big dog. And of course, that got my Irish up when they said no. And I said, no, I want to see that dog. That's the dog I want to see. So they did bring him in, and he walked in, and he was an unruly puppy, jumping, running, everything. He was so excited, and I absolutely fell in love with him. And he was just a young dog, and I went home, and I said, geez, I really wanted an older dog, and this is a real young dog, and went back and forth with the decision. And he had some issues because he's been in there since he was 16 weeks old, and
how old was he at that time?
At that time, he was about a year, almost a year old.
So he'd never had a home.
He's never had a home.
Never had proper behavioral training or
no training.
Yeah.
Really, basically no training, and no interest because he's unruly. How many of the normal families can come in and take a pet on like that?
Yeah,
So
not unless they have a great deal of commitment, they're willing to do training, and they can be the
Yes.
alpha pack leader. And that's not
Exactly.
everybody.
No.
That's
No.
definitely not everybody.
And again, now I had an alpha female at home, so that was a problem, So I unfortunately made the decision to walk away from Dice, and
Which is the smart thing.
it was
Too many people
yes.
get that, oh my God, a dog's an urgent dog, or oh, look at this dog is sitting here for so long, I'm going
Yeah.
to save him. And they don't think about the mesh with the animals in their house. They don't think about what they're taking on. They don't understand
Yes.
that it's going to be far more of a handful than they would ever expect, and probably too much for them.
Oh yes.
And
yes.
then it backfires. There's a dog fight, There's, this dog that they can't calm down. Every dog that comes home from a pound has to settle in.
Yes.
But how long would it take that dog to settle in?
And then they're back in the pound again.
Absolutely where I was going.
It's a cycle.
It's a vicious cycle.
And
Or they'd have kept him in a crate.
Sure.
Yeah,
you keep them in the crate and they don't get any exercise.
And it just feeds the whole behavior, and it makes it just never-ending and worse. And the dog ends up back in the pound until his time runs out, and then he's gone.
And it's sad. And I have to say, when I was looking for dogs, I did go to the Simon Foundation, one of the many places I did go. And there was a dog there I kept going back to. I'm like, I want to save this dog, and it just was not a fit. It just was not. And the head person over there, and I can't remember her name, but she said to me, Patty, it's okay. It's okay that this dog isn't a fit for you because of the very reasons, Theo, that you talk about. And she says, because it will be for the next person. It will be the next person's, fit. And you're going to find your fit. It'll work when you know it's right.
Right.
So I eventually, I did walk away from Dice, and I did get, through the Facebook, a little placard from Double Dog Rescue saying, do you have a soft spot for a senior? And there was this black lab with an all-white face, and his name was, at the time, Journey. And I called, and of course, adopting a dog now, you have to make out all the applications.
Yep.
You really have to kind of give over your firstborn.
Give a kidney, donate blood.
Yeah, it's tough.
But there's a reason for it.
There's good reasons for it. And so I did all that, and I went and met Journey, and I brought Tegan with me, and it was an instant fit. They ignored each other completely. It was great. And Jake's I brought him home. I named him Jake, and because he was more of a Jake. I didn't want to be yelling Journey out the door.
Yeah.
So Jake and Tegan get along well. Jake is a very laid-back dog. They said 8 to 10. I think he's probably closer 10 to 12, but he is a perfect fit for my household. I have a very kind of geriatric household.
Yeah, laid back, not a lot of energy.
Yes.
You can't, when you've got the older dogs, it's very hard if you've got an energetic young dog.
Yes.
Jumping on them and wanting to play, and the old dogs like, I ache, go away, bite.
Yeah, you're exactly correct. Exactly correct.
You need to have, you can have a very feisty older dog.
Oh, sure.
And if you bring a more active dog in, then that kind of works. But you have to know the dynamics in your own house.
I think it's really important to know the dynamics. But even knowing the dynamics and bringing Jake in, and Jake, again, was the perfect fit for my household. It took 3 to 6 months for routines to work out, dogs to know dogs, and him to know. And there was...
like any relationship.
Yeah, it took time, and I got a little frustrated too. I'm like, geez, here I give this dog this home, and he's going to the bathroom on the floor. He's supposed to be house trained. And
it's a big bump in the road for them.
It's huge.
They don't know.
You have dogs coming up from wherever, anywhere, south, even the ones in your own state.
Mm-hmm.
As bad a situation as they're in, that's still their home.
Exactly. It's all they know.
It's all they know, and all they will try to get back to.
Yep.
And now, and I think we know because you're on my Facebook page, I deal a lot with the lost dogs.
Yep.
And the majority of the lost dogs are rescue dogs that we got yesterday, and he slipped his collar and he's gone.
Yeah, and that's become just huge. Yeah.
Huge.
It's far more prevalent than I think ever. People are trying to take in dogs, and they're not prepared for that. Make the collar a little too tight. Don't leave it that way.
Right.
But put them on a harness.
Sure.
Hold on to that leash.
Yes.
You don't know each other.
You don't.
You think in the house, you got this really calm dog until a squirrel goes by.
Yeah. Gone.
Yep.
Gone.
Just you gotta. There's a whole bunch of things that people really should think about before they embark on the journey.
And to be fair, I went to on St. Patrick's Day, I went to go meet a transport coming up, and the guy that was talking to all the potential adopters there, he went through this whole conversation, but I think they miss it sometimes because they're so excited.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, oh no, it won't happen to us. And,
right.
Little Joey can still take the dog out, and it's like,
no, not much.
No, it's unfortunate. But I did end up getting Jake, and it worked out. And then I've gotten involved in lost dogs and getting all these different things, putting on Facebook all these poor dogs that are in very urgent situations.
And that brought...
And then all of a sudden, a placard came out, just like Jake's, and it was this dog. And I looked at it, and I went, that looks like Dice. And it was about 10 months after I had walked away from him. And I just couldn't believe that that dog was still there, because now he's 2. So he's been in the kennel since he was 16 weeks old. And
that's heartbreaking.
And he has not been out. He goes from an indoor kennel to an outdoor kennel, and very well taken care of. Again, the Meriden Humane Society,
they do a great job.
Loves that dog, and takes very good care of him. But when I went down to see him, I said, well, let me go down to see him. And they were like, you want to see Dice? You know, they were very welcoming to me. And I saw Dice, and I was like, oh my God, he was so happy to see me. I swear to God, he remembered who I was, but he was so thin. He was so thin, and he was showing signs of kennel stress, and people don't understand it. I truly didn't understand until.
And I always talk about it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Because
some dogs just can't handle it after. I mean, they reach their limit.
They do, and there is a limit, and it's very obvious. I mean, you can see it. There's no doubt. I mean, I'm a novice walking in, going, something's not right with this dog. And so I kind of sat back and said, you know what? I think Dice needs a home. And so I, in my head, came up with Project Roll the Dice. And I reached out to anybody and anybody I could, including you, and said, I got this dog. And I reached out to All Friends Animal Hospital in Norwich, and they were quite helpful and tried to get me in touch with Angels Among Us, I think it was. But, you know, I believe Dice has part pit in him. We don't really know what he is. You know, you get these mixes.
he looks very pitty.
He looks pitty, but he also has a very boxy mouth, and so you don't know if it's a Mastiff mix or Boxer mix, you know. But so it's hard to place the pitties because they don't move on from the foster very quickly. So that was kind of a dead end. So I called John Gagnon out in our area. He's the kind of the head behaviorist out where I am, and I've known John a long time because Tegan used to go there all the time. So I called him, and he was gracious enough to get a hold of the Meriden Humane Society and go down and take a look at Dice for me. And he offered them all his services, which is nice, and any help that he could be with them. And and what he did offer was a day of evaluation at his place for Dice, and I just kissed the ground for that one.
Yep.
And I said, okay. And so Dice went to his evaluation on the 19th, which was last Wednesday.
Right.
Which meant I visited him Tuesday night, holding him, going, don't bite anybody, make sure you know how to treat the other dogs correctly. He's going, okay, you be a good boy, Dice. And he's like, all right, I will. And sure enough, he went, and I was waiting all day. I finally called, and I said, how'd he do? You know, and they said, surprisingly, he did wonderful on his first day. And now you got to remember, this was a gift that I gave this dog, and John gave this dog. This dog has not been able to run around in a field without chain link.
Right.
Nor with other dogs. They tend to keep him away from other dogs because there's fence fighting going on.
Sure.
And so they can't trust him. And he showed every intention of trying to play. Matter of fact, he played and 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 he played. And the other dogs got tired, and he just kept licking their face, going, come on, come on, come on, come on, you can play again, you can play again. So he just kept going, and he just wouldn't stay. He was so wound up. This poor dog has never had the ability to release this energy.
Right.
You know, he's been there for almost 2 years.
And that's not just 2 years, his whole life.
Yeah, because I don't know what his life was like for the first 16 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know the situation he was in before that. And
but he wouldn't remember now either, probably.
I don't think so.
Can we pull up the pictures of Dice, Zach, so that everybody knows
that'd be great.
who we're talking about?
That'd be awesome.
He is gorgeous.
Now, this is when I first saw Dice, and he was younger there. He was about a year old, and you can see how bulky he is.
Yeah.
And he just, I mean, he's got such a pretty face.
He's gorgeous.
You know, and then...
Go ahead, next picture, Zach.
I think, see, now this is when I went back 10 months later, and you can see how thin he's gotten.
Yep, and that's part and parcel of that kennel stress.
That is
they
kennel
start to lose weight.
Because, you know, Theo, I did ask, I said, what's going on with him? And they're like, we're feeding him all this food. In talking to John Gagnon, he says, Patty, they could feed him 10 pounds of food a day. And it's kennel stress is going to make him go like this.
Yep.
So another nice picture of Dice as he's aged, he's matured. Now, what he
is so
look at that face,
stunningly handsome,
isn't he? He's a very, very, and he's a dog's dog. And he has a very honest face. You see that? That's how he is.
Yeah.
I started walking with him. I made the commitment to him. I go to the Meriden Humane Society every weekend, and I walk him, and I spend a couple hours with him, and we'll sit on the couch. He's in there. We sit on that couch, and we let cats come in because it's right by the front door.
Right.
So I'm trying to expose him to different things.
And there's a really nice picture of the two of you sitting there together.
There it is. So he lays with me, and we watch cats come in and dogs come in and people come in, and we let people pet us, and we're told to behave, and he's learning how to be social. I'm not a dog trainer, but I've had dogs my whole life, and the little bit I can give him is more than what he's got. So I just work with him, and he's very calm with me. I bring even though I'm a little excitable on TV, I'm usually very calm with my animals, and that comes forth. And they say that he's mostly calm when he's with me, and I'm just so proud of him for doing what he does. I mean, he's doing well. He's on his own at John's right now, and he's doing really well.
Well, he's got attention that he's never had before. Not that he doesn't get attention, but it's a different kind of attention. He's got the interaction.
Yes.
And of course, John is well known for being able to put his spin on a dog.
Yes.
Do you have an idea yet of what kind of home that Dice belongs in?
You know, everyone thinks because, I'm pretty open about what's going on with Dice, and I keep people educated because I think it's important for the public to see what it takes to take a dog who's been in his kennel his whole life, how long and what steps it takes to get him to where he really is ready to be homed.
Right.
Dice is not ready to go to a home yet.
No, he's got a little work to do.
He's got a lot of work to do, and I'm his guardian angel, and I will stand by him.
And bless your heart for that. Every dog should have an angel like you.
Every dog should have an angel, period. And I agree with you. But it'll be a little while, but what do I wish for Dice? Dice is a really cool dog, and he would be great with someone who hikes. He would be good. Right now, if you look at Dice on Pet Finder, it says no dogs, no cats, no kids.
And that's because it's an unknown.
Because it's all unknown.
And the energy level of a bigger dog with little kids is not a good mix.
Yes.
He'll knock them over without even trying.
Right. But it doesn't mean he's going to be mean to them.
Right.
He's not a mean dog. But, you get I think he's going to, if he was with someone who was active, who would go hiking with him, with Dice, particularly at his age, which was no different than Tegan, I walked her 2 miles a day. So he needs the same kind of exercise. And if you ask Caesar, that's what he'll tell you too. You've got to introduce exercise. You get exercise, you get good behavior.
Right.
It's good for his psyche. But I do think that Dice needs his own family. People think I'm going to end up with Dice. I don't want Dice to be one of 3 dogs. And I'm not sure he's the perfect fit for me in my situation.
And that's a fair statement.
Right. But I think he deserves his own family. And I wish for him that. And I will work until he gets homed. And, that's my idea of what I think he should get,
And that's an admirable, you're not trying to make him yours.
No.
You're not trying to force not the right situation on him or yourself
Correct.
or your other dogs.
And I take the advice of the professionals
Yeah.
on where he's at.
Yeah, and that's, again, way ahead of the curve with a lot of people that just don't do that.
He will be a success. Dice will be a successful story because I will make sure he's a success.
And that's just wonderful. It really is.
And you're gonna hear about it.
I hope so.
You know, you're gonna hear about it.
I hope so. You'll have to keep me in the loop.
I will. I will.
You know, a story like this, you know, most dogs would either languish forever or
Right.
languish until they really started hurting themselves in the kennel, because that comes
Yes,
next.
that would be the next step. Yes.
And then
yes.
he would become urgent,
Yes.
because how fair is it to
Yeah.
let that dog start to really deteriorate?
Dice would have become a statistic if somebody didn't step in.
Yes, he would. And that's
he
that's
was
a
totally
fact.
loved. Trust me, he was well taken care of. I can't stress that enough.
It's not about the taking care of the animal. It's how the animal can hold up under the circumstances.
Yeah.
You know, they belong in a home.
Yeah.
They belong on a couch,
Yeah.
you know, with a family. You
Yeah.
know, can I crash on your couch and that whole thing? They deserve to have, you know, the walks and the love and
Yeah.
the home. That's what they crave. That's why,
They're social animals.
yeah, that's why they start to crash. That's why they start to do that crash and burn. And it's because they are pack animals, and it's in a kennel. It's not being part of the pack.
No, and Dice is not. I mean, he's had it good compared to some,
Absolutely,
you know. But he would be a statistic
Yeah.
eventually.
he would, unless
know.
somebody were to step up. And you know, that's a handful of a dog who's never had the socialization for just, you know, a
Yeah.
family to walk in and say, oh yeah, I want him. It's not.
Yeah.
It's
Many
not going to
people-
happen.
Well, if you look at the pictures of him, many people look when I'm sitting there on the couch at Meriden Humane Society. People are like, "Oh, what a gorgeous dog," and they're
Yeah.
drawn to him.
He's got that demeanor. He's got the
he
look.
brings people
Yeah.
in. But and the Meriden Humane Society knows he's not ready either. So they're very careful themselves, which I got to
Yeah.
give them a lot of credit.
Oh
'cause
yeah,
There's no one that wants him home more than them.
of course.
You know?
I mean, they're a great organization, and I you know, I know them over there too, and they do everything they can.
Oh, yeah.
But what do you do with a dog like that who's now starting to fail?
And they have other dogs. I mean, it's not like he's
Yeah.
the only dog, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they've made some great saves, and
Yeah.
they've done some wonderful things. And now with your help, Dice is getting his wonderful thing.
And
which,
with your help, he is too, and I appreciate that.
well, I'm a small part of it. Time to say goodnight.
Good night.
So we're going to say it with me, peace,
Peace,
love,
love,
and dogs.
and dogs.
Good night,
woof.
everybody.
Good night.
Thank you very much for watching.